no offense to Jimmy, but I'm really interested in Christine because I don't really know a whole lot about you. So I'd want to I'd love to hear your story. You know what because I read that the first chapter in your book, and boy, you've been through some stuff. Can you talk about that and talk to us a little bit about your life and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I started out life really with the deck stacked against me. I was born 3 months early and had all of the challenges that come along with that. It wasn't until I was about 2 years old that my parents noticed that I may have eyesight issues, and so they took me to the doctor. And sure enough, the oxygen that the doctor gave me to keep me alive when I was born early tore the retina in my left eye. And the process started to happen in my right eye, but they caught it in time. And so at that point, that's when it all really started. My parents, I don't blame my parents at all for the things that happened to me, because they were just doing what they were told, low-fat diet, this, to eat certain things. And so they just didn't know. I mean, I totally respect that they did the best that they could, but we never made the connection between these health issues that I was having and diet. And so in my maybe about 10 or 11, I started having joint pain, and rheumatoid arthritis runs on my mom's side of the family as far back as we can, remember. So they were concerned that I was starting to have issues with that. And then, so they took me to the doctor. Doctors could never really find anything wrong with me. Early teens, I started having really bad pain with my menstrual cycle. Again, my parents took me to the doctor. The doctors never really found anything. And it wasn't until actually in my 30s that I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And I eventually had to have a total hysterectomy because of it. And that was probably why Jimmy and I, a big culprit as to why we were never able to have children. And other things, mood disorders. I started suffering from depression and anxiety, so I had to go on antidepressants for that.
She had to live with me, Erin.
At the age of 30, at the time, I was under a great deal of stress in my life, and I developed shingles, which is typically something that happens to an elderly person because their immune system is compromised. Well, between the diet and the stress in my life, on my 30th birthday, I came down with shingles. So just a whole host of problems.
So your health went to the dogs? Is that what you're saying?
My dog's keeping us safe.
So, That's okay. So it wasn't until 2011 that when we were going through embryo adoption, we subsequently lost the twins, but we were going through embryo adoption. We found out I had gotten pregnant, got really serious about my diet, and Jimmy actually started buying liver, cutting it up for me, freezing it, and I would take it like a pill to get the nutrients that way. And so he had already interviewed several people, the importance of having a good diet, especially when a woman is pregnant. And he had already interviewed so many other people. And up until this point, I was sort of kind of maybe possibly doing low-carb keto.
She wasn't serious till
then.
But
I wasn't serious until then. And it's then, once I got serious, that I started seeing these vast improvements in my health. So 4 months after I started keto, I went back to my doctor for my annual eye checkup, and lo and behold, my eyesight actually got better rather than worse.
For the first time ever.
Yeah. Wow. So we had to get another $1,200 pair of prescriptions going
the other direction.
The other way. And so that was the first big thing. And when I told my parents about that, they were just dumbfounded.
They were like,
wow.
But yeah.
Because they had spent that money before I married you.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
And what's happened since?
It's stayed the same. I've been on the same.
She hasn't changed yet. So we got $1,200. We've saved like $10,000 in the last 7 years.
That's just with the eyes. And then I went to deal with the joint pain I was still having. I went to see a rheumatologist, and thankfully the first thing that he ran was my vitamin D, and I was very deficient in vitamin D. My vitamin D score came back at 9.
9.
So I was very deficient. And so eating a ketogenic diet and then getting my vitamin D up, I started supplementing with vitamin D. I saw improvements in my joint pain. I still struggle on rainy days, like it is rainy here. I still hurt a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, all of the joint pain is gone. I've been able to get off of my antidepressants that I took for 10 years. I've been off of them for 10 years.
She used to get bad panic attacks. I mean,
wow.
Out of nowhere. And I'm like, I couldn't help her in any way. So she was on this drug Paxil for 10 years and would have been on it for the rest of her life, Aaron, had she not gone keto and started adding in all these real foods. It changed your life, and it's now been almost 10 years since she came off of the Paxil. It's fascinating to see what real food could do for you.
Yeah. We started making the connection between our health and physical manifestations that we were dealing with, because not everybody, I didn't have a weight issue.
Yeah, you did. You were underweight.
Well, I was underweight, but somebody on the street would look at me, oh, she's healthy because she's so thin.
She was 90 pounds when I met her, Aaron, and then 95 on the day we got married. And so, yeah, you never really dealt with your weight.
No, so everything that I was dealing with was manifesting on the inside.
Right.
And so that's why once I went through the nutritional therapy practitioner program, learning all of these things, it's so much more than just diet, though. And so that's why we wanted to get this book out there.
So what inspired you to start the NTP program?
Actually, I had been wanting to go back to school for quite a while, and I just didn't know for what. I mean, I'm interested in geology. I love that. So my mom and I took a geology course in college together, and ever since then, I've been collecting rocks and minerals.
She likes the rocks in my head. She shakes them all the time.
I do. So, I thought about, doing something like that, or I actually thought about something in the health. But then the opportunity actually came along for Jimmy to go through the program, and because he's so busy, he said, well, can my wife go through it? And they said, yeah. So that's what kind of prompted me to do it. I saw it as a good opportunity, and I had been seeing what Jimmy has been doing for so long. I wanted to kind of see if there were anything else, because so many people still struggle with their weight even though they eat the most perfect diet, and I wanted to see if there were other reasons why. And yes, we learned about a bunch of reasons why.
Now here's the thing, Aaron. So she goes through this program and she's playing all these little lectures on her computer, and I'm hearing prostaglandin and duodenum and the cholecystokinin and all these words, and I'm going, wait a minute. I've been in this field for a very long time, and you're saying words I've never heard of before. So I was learning along with her, and obviously as we were editing this book, I was really learning a lot from her, and this is life-changing information that had you known this stuff before all your health stuff was going on, you would have avoided most of it.
Yep.
Gallbladder getting taken out was a big one.
Yeah, that was another thing I forgot to mention. I had my gallbladder taken out in 2006, and it was likely due to the low-fat diet that I did in my 20s. Even though I was stick thin, I still had this disconnect between my body image and,
She thought she was fat at 90 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I just had such a poor self-esteem that I put a lot of weight, no pun intended, on my weight.
She's married to an encourager now, though.
That's great.